Hi, and welcome to Pawcast, a discussion podcast based in and centered around animal welfare in the Evansville, Vanderburgh area. Today, we're interviewing Amanda Coburn from Vanderburgh Humane Society. Hope you enjoy.
Okay, welcome back everyone to the podcast. Today we are continuing our conversations about animal welfare here in Evansville, and today we're going to be talking to Amanda from the Vanderburgh Humane Society. And if you could just start us off introducing yourself and just your role at VHS.
Sure, yeah. Hi, everybody. My name is Amanda Coburn from the Vanderburgh Humane Society. I'm the Director of Advancement there, which basically means that I handle all of our fundraising and marketing efforts. So it's my job, it's our operations team's job to take care of the animals, and it's my job to get them the money to do that and to tell everyone about it so that people will come adopt the animals and know more about our mission. I have been there for 13 years tomorrow, actually, I believe. March 4th. Yep. In my 13 years there, I have seen a lot of change and a lot of ebb and flow of the animal welfare landscape here locally. But other things have not changed at all. So, looking forward to this conversation today to talk about kind of a little bit more about that and what it's like to work in sheltering here locally.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for that. I guess we could start off with maybe the adoption process and like what that looks like.
Sure. Yeah. We try to pride ourselves on having a very open adoption process. So basically, what that means is anyone who would like to adopt a pet and have the love of a pet in their home should be able to do that. We are not here to, gatekeep and find reasons to tell people no and make people feel like they're having to, apply to be president of the United States to adopt a pet. It just doesn't need to be that complicated. So we try to practice open conversation-based adoptions is kind of what the industry term is called, which means you come in and we just get to know you a little bit. We talk to you about your household, who lives there in terms of age. Do you have kids? Do you not have kids? Do you have other pets in the home? That's a big one because we do sometimes have animals who don't really love other pets. But that's really it. As long as you have a decently stable home, we're not going to ask you a bunch of invasive questions like, where do you work and what's your income, and requiring that you have a fully fenced in backyard and all this other crazy stuff. We're just going to try to help you find a good fit, and we'll hopefully help you leave with a pet of some sort. Even if it's not the pet you originally came in with, we still want to help you find a pet. So we just tell people to come in and visit. That's the best place to start because we require a visit anyway. You don't want to just window shop for a pet. So come on by. You don't need an appointment. You can come anytime we're open and visit with an animal and hopefully take them home the same day. That's a goal that we have as well.
That's amazing. That's really good. Yeah. How do you guys determine uh what type of animals need certain people? So for example, if a dog doesn't like men, how do you go about that and figure that?
Sure. We usually just kind of counsel people on what we do know about that animal. Sometimes we don't know a whole lot. And in that case, it's more of a hey, here are some tips to get everybody adjusted at home. And if you have questions, call us because if we don't have a lot of information on the animal, we aren't going to be much help either. For example, if they came in as a stray and we have no background on them whatsoever, then we only have their behavior at the shelter to go off of, and they often behave differently at home than they do in a shelter. So, in that situation with not liking men, that's just something we would say up front. We would, ask if there's men in the home, and if there are, that's not necessarily a no. It just might mean, hey, you might need to take it slow. Here are some tips for building that bond between, the husband or the boyfriend or the son or whoever and the dog. And if people aren't comfortable with that, then ultimately that dog might just go to a home without men in it. But that's not necessarily required. We just kind of do the best we can to make good matches. Same thing with other dogs. We often have dogs who either don't like other dogs in general or are picky with dogs. They like some but not others. And in those cases, we do meet and greets on site where people will bring their dog for a meeting on a neutral territory because they're going to be more protective of their own home than they will at the shelter. So we'll do a meet and greet and see how things go. We can kind of tell early on if it's going to be an immediate no, obviously, and they're absolutely not getting along at all. But sometimes they're kind of okay. And same thing, we'll give them some tips on introducing at home, what to do if there's a fight, how to maybe kind of remedy that and move forward with hopefully getting that figured out. But if it doesn't work out, this is another important thing. If they get home, they've had the dog a couple weeks or the cat or whoever, 2 weeks, a month, a couple months, and it's still just not working, we always take that animal back free of charge. We don't punish the people for that. That's okay. We will often sometimes help them find a different pet. It's just not always as simple as, hey, have a good life. Love your hair. Hope you win. And like, there's no, guarantee of that. So we do always take them back if it doesn't work out.
Yeah, that's nice to hear. Like, you don't just you kind of keep in check with everybody that you work with. I was wondering, like, how many, if any, do you have like resources, like trainers for dogs that you don't know much about, or animals?
Sure. We don't have a lot of behavior resources, mostly because there's a national shortage of behaviorists and behavior training in the U.S. So, there just aren't as many options available as we would like. We do have a partnership currently with PetSmart training where some of our volunteers take our shelter dogs for obedience training. So that's really nice. We shout out to them. We're very excited about that. So we will try to at least work on some basic obedience. And then beyond that, once the dog goes home, we'll just tell people, hey, these are your options. It's something they have to pay for and do on their own time. But we do have some great trainers here in Evansville that if the family wants to continue that after the dog goes home, then they can.
Yeah.
We would love to offer training classes ourselves, but we don't have the space to do it currently. There's no room to even have it in. And then, like I said, even if we were to want to hire a trainer, there are just not nearly enough. So if anyone's listening and says, I would like to be a dog behaviorist or a dog trainer or a veterinarian, we'll get to that in a minute. There's a severe shortage of those, and we need a lot of them.
Yeah, that's good to know. Good to take. You mentioned like spacing. When it comes to like surrendering animals, how do you guys go about that process, and how do you determine whether to say like yes or no?
Sure.
To make those difficult decisions.
Yeah. It's actually really funny you say that. We are getting ready to kind of revamp that process at the shelter. We haven't really announced that yet, so it's an UE podcast exclusive here today. But in the past, like we were celebrating our 70th anniversary next year. So from the dawn of time, since that time, we have been an open admission shelter, which means we take anything that is scheduled to be surrendered that is an owner surrender. We don't take as many strays because that's what Evansville Animal Care and Control is for, the city shelter that is taxpayer funded, so strays mostly go there. But owner surrenders, people have just had to schedule an appointment, and we will take it no matter what, even if we don't have space, because at the end of the day, if people don't have an option, they will just drop it off at animal control anyway, or they'll just turn it loose, or they'll just do, something worse to it. So we have always been open admission and, just let people schedule appointments. The new approach that we're taking, we still will do that. We still will absolutely take any pet who needs to have a place to go, but we're shifting to a more pet resource center model to focus on keeping pets at home with the family they already have. So when people reach out to us to surrender a pet, it's usually because they're facing a specific issue, whether that is they're losing their home and they can't take their dog to their new place, or they have just had a baby and sometimes the dog really might not be adjusting well at all to the baby. And even when people do their very, very best, sometimes the dog or even the cat is just not having it. We just had that situation the other day. A family had a baby. The baby's almost 1 now, and the cat, the entire baby's life, has peed outside the litter box. They cannot get him to stop. They have tried everything. The cat just does not want to live with the baby. That's just the way it is. And that's okay. Again, it's not the cat's fault. It's not the people's fault. It's just the way it is. So in situations where we can help fix the problem, we are going to try to do that. So maybe someone has lost their job and they are temporarily struggling to take care of their pet and feed it and provide vet care for it. If we can just provide some food to get them through that tough time, we would so much rather them keep their pet in the home that they already know with the people they already love than have to surrender it. So we're kind of taking that approach, and we're rebranding our intake department. Instead of just saying, yeah, sure, bring them on in, we're going to ask more questions and say, what is the problem and can we help you fix it? Sometimes we can, sometimes we can't. But we're going to hopefully reduce the intake by being able to provide more resources instead of surrender.
And so,
go ahead.
yeah, and so does that like raise more questions for like fundraising you guys will be doing to like help with those resources?
Sure. Yeah.
I saw that you guys are doing like your new auction in
Mhm.
a couple months. So like,
Yes.
would that be a initiative, or are there some newer things?
Sure. We haven't really laid out any new fundraising just for that specifically yet. I'm sure we will be doing that at some point, but it's actually cheaper to keep a pet in the home than it is for us to take it in and take care of it for several months. So that's kind of a spin we're going to put on it is, if we can spend a couple $100 keeping this pet in their home, whether that's through food or whether it's through help with a pet deposit, for example, if they have to move to a new place and they have all this other stuff in line, but they just don't have the money for that pet deposit. Maybe we can help with that. If it costs $200 to do that and $500 for us to take care of the animal, it's actually a cost saving. So we'll probably spin it that way to like our donors and our fundraising base. Our auction that is coming up on May 9th is more of general operating expenses, which just means it goes towards whatever we need. It could go to that, but it could go to something else. So that's our largest fundraiser, and it helps us keep the doors open.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And do people typically like volunteer for that, or like?
We do have
Organization?
a few volunteers. Yeah, they help kind of pack up the auction items for people and get people registered and checked in. But we have about 360 donors who attend. Last year was our best year ever. We sold out, which has never happened before. So we're very excited to hopefully repeat that this year for May the Fur Be With You. It's the Star Wars theme this year.
Okay, that is funny. Okay, well that's really good.
Yeah, I was gonna ask like, what other fundraisers do you guys have going on, kind of throughout the year? What should people look out for?
Sure. We don't do as many special events as we used to, just because we try to focus more on one-on-one relationships with donors. But we have kept a few over the years. The auction is the biggest one. This will be our 29th year, so we've been doing it for a long time now. The second largest is, of course, the West Side Nut Club Fall Festival, which most students and community members know is the big main event of the year. We do have a booth down there that we've had, I think, for 35 years now in 2026. So we've been doing that one a long time too. That one's nice because we only have to worry about our booth. The Nut Club does all the other logistics and puts the event on. So that's a nice one. And then our other one is Pet Pictures with Santa in November. So you can bring your pet to see Santa Claus. It is a real Santa. It's not like a cardboard cutout or a photoshopped picture. They can really come see Santa, and that is celebrating its 40th anniversary in 2026. So keep an eye out for that in November, and you can literally bring your furry child to see Santa, and they can tell Santa what they want for Christmas, and you can too if you want. And you also don't even have to have a pet. If you just want to come see our Santa with your kid, which is what I do because we only have cats and the cats don't want to go see Santa, you can come, and it's really cheap. It's only $30, and you get 2 photos. So as we get close to the holidays, keep an ear open for the 40th annual Pet Pictures with Santa.
Yeah,
That's so sweet.
And I see that like you guys have like the River City Cat Cafe. Do you guys still do like events with that, or like the like cat yoga and things like that? Like
We do, yes. We have River Kitty Cat Cafe downtown in Evansville on Main Street. We just had cat yoga at the shelter, not at River Kitty, but we do have yoga at River Kitty pretty often as well. We're getting some of those dates scheduled soon for 2026. And then we've just started doing sound baths there, which is very like new and hip, and I wasn't really sure exactly what that entailed until we did one. But basically, you just go and like relax, and it's very zen and tranquil in there. So our second sound bath is coming up at the end of March. I can't recall the date off the top of my head, but we are trying to do more of those. We're always looking for more events to do down there. We have discussed a singles night. So like speed dating, something of that nature down there. We've talked about art classes. Tomorrow we're having a meeting with someone who would like to do a sewing class down there, or like, there's places, I don't know if this will be bleeped out, but they have done Stitch and Bitch before, which is like a well-known thing where people just take their sewing projects and complain about things. So we're going to call it Stitch and Hiss. So we're probably going to do that soon. Knitting with Kittens is another popular one. So we are hoping to increase our event calendar at River Kitty Cat Cafe. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds so fun.
Thanks. Oh, and we do birthday parties as well. I didn't say that.
Oh,
We've done that for a couple years now. So if anybody is looking for a indoor party venue for kids or adults or college students, you by all means, if you want to have your 21st birthday or 22nd birthday at River Kitty, we have had that happen. So give us a call.
Oh, that's so fun.
Yeah.
I feel like that's like a good way to involve the community and kind of like just allow them to be connected with the animals. In a way.
Yeah.
And it just sounds very fun and stuff.
Yeah. We have a lot of people who tell us, I never really expected this before I worked there, but a lot of people say that the shelter makes them sad and they can't go there because they'll just be depressed the rest of the day. And we don't really think about that because we're there all the time and it's mostly happy and whatever. But River Kitty is great because it's not as sad. The cats aren't in cages and there's not as many. So it's kind of a better, more joyful experience, people say, to go down there and adopt a cat rather than having to go to the shelter. So we have really great luck with getting cats adopted from there.
That's good.
Oh, that's awesome. I was gonna ask more about that, like how much success you found in adopting, which sounds like a lot.
Yes, a lot, yeah.
And it's kind of neat because there's not anything like it in the area. Like you hear about cat cafes, and a lot of them will have adoptions, but not many like animal cafes will have that kind of thing. So having a unique like cat cafe with adoptions, that's a great thing to have in the Evansville area.
Yeah, well, thanks. And we're one of the only nonprofit ones, too. Even if they do have adoptions, most of them are for-profit business models, just kind of owned and operated independently of the shelter, which River Kitty was originally, and then we purchased it in 2019. So I think last we checked, we were one of only 3 in the country that were owned and operated as a nonprofit.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, we're pretty proud of that.
I've been there a few times. The coffee's really good.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I just heard our March drink, our like featured March drink, is an Andes mint latte.
Ooh, that sounds good.
That was hot off the press in an email this morning as well.
Wow, we're getting all
Yeah.
exclusive stuff here.
That's amazing. Are there like any challenges with that though, like with the nonprofit environment, like owning the cat cafe, or even just with the shelter?
Yeah. I think the biggest challenge with owning the cat cafe is that you have all the expenses of a business that we would normally have. So we have rent to pay. At the shelter, we own that building. We paid it off many years ago. It's ours. We don't have like a mortgage or anything. So we had to kind of look at, what are the expenses? What is the payroll? We have to pay staff to be there every day. So even though it's a cat adoption center, which is very heartwarming and sweet, it has to make money or it cannot be there because we still have rent to pay downtown. We still have, Centerpoint will still come and knock, and we do not get that for free. So we have to make sure that it's more of a combination of focusing on making money and driving revenue that we don't always normally have at the shelter because donors make donations and fund that work. So we're making sure that we're focusing on merch and making sure the beverages are good and keeping things fresh. So, just keep in mind that anything you buy there helps with those expenses. If you have a cute sticker that you like or a t-shirt or whatever. So it's definitely challenging running a business that has to make money to be able to stay open rather than just fundraising for a nonprofit.
That's kind of like most of my questions.
Yeah.
Um,
How are we doing on time? Oh. Yeah, so how about where can people like find you guys like on social media, your website?
Sure.
And how can they donate like online if they can't be in person?
Right. Yeah. Going to our website is the best way. It's vhslifesaver.org. And everything you could need really is on there. Information about adoption, information about our thrift store. I know we didn't even get to talk about the fact that we have a thrift store, but we do. River Kitty information, how you can volunteer with us, just lots of information. And there's a quick and easy donation link. There's a little dog collar with a red dog tag on it that says donate. Quick and easy. It will take you less than a minute to make a monetary donation. And then any other information you need, such as resources or how to get involved in other ways, is all on there. And we do have social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and a pretty successful TikTok, to be honest with you. If you've not been on our TikTok, we have gone viral several times. And our handle is at VHS Lifesaver for that as well. So definitely check us out.
Awesome.
Well,
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, and is there just like anything else you would like to add, like just to close us off or anything? Any last remarks?
I mean, I would just say definitely if you're looking for a pet, please consider adoption first. Shelters are still very, very full. We are doing pretty well in this area, not great, but there are certainly areas of the country that are doing worse than we are. But there's also areas of the country that are doing a lot better than we are in terms of overpopulation. So please consider looking at a shelter pet before you buy from a breeder or just go down the street to Farmer Joe and get a puppy or something. We have lots of great pets in shelters who most of the time did not do anything wrong to earn their place there. They might have just, their family lost their home, or they were just getting out running loose and somebody picked them up. So it's sometimes there's a stigma that shelter pets are always sick or have behavior problems or whatever the case may be, and that just is not the case. Occasionally we might have those, but most of the time they've just had bad luck and they're just waiting for somebody to come in and look at them for who they are and fall in love.
Yep, adopt, don't shop.
Yes, exactly.
All right, well, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate your time.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and yeah, great to hear about you guys. Make sure to check them out on social media and their website and donate if you can. All right, thank you. Thank you so much for listening to Pawcast. We hope you enjoyed and learned something new today. For more content, find us on Apple Music, Spotify, and firesideradio.edu as Pawcast, or YouTube and Instagram as Pawcast 2026. See you next time.